name is theluckymumdebranyanchoka. I'm an ex-housemaid of Saudi Arabia. I create awareness on what happens in the Middle East. Sometimes I do help those domestic workers who are stuck in the Middle East. And I want to share about types of bosses or types of sponsors in the Gulf. You know, sometimes when I create awareness, people feel like I'm so negative about Middle East, but I just want to share the type of bosses. I want people to understand that the bosses are not the same. So I've just categorized into 5 types of bosses so that you see where does your boss lie. If you feel like this a certain type I've not mentioned, you can also add on the comment section, but I'll do part 2 of it later. So types of bosses in Gulf, in the Middle East. Number 1, we have money-oriented bosses. These are money-oriented bosses. These are bosses like, in case you do anything, they will have to remind you the money they bought you. Of course, everyone who goes maybe in Saudi Arabia, they buy you, they exchange you for money. So there's those bosses like, if you do anything, they will be reminding you like, do you know how much I spent to get you here? Do you know my money? My money, they will be singing. If you are hungry and you complain, they will say, my money. Do you remember my money? I bought you money. Huh? So anything you do, they will be reminded. Those are money oriented. If you want to go back to your country and you feel you are not comfortable, they will be reminding you their money. Do you know I bought you a lot of money? You have to pay the money. You have to pay the cost. That is one of the type of bosses. Those are money oriented. They see nothing good in you. What they see is the money they bought you. That is type number 1. And those bosses exist. Almost 95% are money-oriented bosses. They will be telling, even if they abuse you, they mistreat you, and you feel like you want to go back, they will be reminding you their money. You have to pay my money before you leave. You have to pay my money, my money, my money. Yeah. That is type number 1. Type number 2, we have food-oriented bosses. My friends, if they see you growing, maybe some bosses, when you enter to their house, they weigh your kgs, they measure your weight. So with some time, they will ask you again to measure your weight. So if you become fat, they will be like, you are eating a lot of my food. That's another type of boss. You are eating a lot of food. If maybe your legs have swollen just like mine, they got swollen, and my boss was like, you are eating a lot of food. These are people who complain about food. We have bosses, when they won't allow you to step to the kitchen when there's food there. Or they can buy food and they don't give you because they feel like at your home there is no food. So they can just decide, maybe they wait, they eat, and then they give you the leftovers, or sometimes they buy from outside and they don't give you. Those are just food oriented. Anytime you complain like maybe you're not given enough food, or maybe you are sick because you don't eat, they will say you are lying. There is a lot of food in this house. Yes, there might be a lot of food, but they're not giving you that freedom. So we have bosses who care about food so much, and they don't care about your whereabouts. So at least now you have known about the money oriented. They don't care about what you eat, but they are concerned about their money. They don't know if you are hungry or not. You need to work because they bought you money. This for food, you don't need to complain. When there are visitors, you don't eat, you hide. You stay in the room until the visitors leave, so you can't eat their food. These are food-oriented bosses. And we have bosses who are business-oriented. These bosses who are business-oriented than one house, and they get paid. You can go to their friends' houses, you work, they get paid. Those are business. Get tired, they will partition hours. You should work, maybe you wake up at 6 in my house, or 4, you work up to 10, and then they send you to different houses. They can send you to 2 more houses or 3 before the day ends, and then they get paid. Those are just business oriented. Another bosses who are sometimes they can force you to know how to cook. They teach you to know how to cook. So once you master the cooking skills, they will start cooking a lot of food and then they deliver outside. So you do food that will be delivered like a hotel. Those are business oriented, get to pay you for only housemaid work. You will work as a chef, you will pack the food and then it is delivered. Those are business oriented. And there are also those who are business oriented, they have stalls. They sell maybe clothes, you have to work from the house and then you go to the market with them. So they are bosses of that type. So those are business oriented, they don't want to give you their salary relying on that job that you went to work as a housemaid or as a cleaner. It doesn't matter, you have to do extra job that will bring income. And then we have number 4, we have caring bosses. This is another type. This is another type where people, you find comfortability, you are just there. If you are sick, they take you to the hospital. If you are hungry, they give you food. If you don't have clothes, they will give you, yeah, these are caring ones. They have that parental love. They treat you just like a family. Whatever they give their children, they will just give you. They will treat you well. They appreciate your services. We have such bosses. Those are called caring bosses or caring sponsors. They will just give you what you need. They treat you like a family and then you stay with them. They give, if it's shopping, they bring for you. If it's Wi-Fi, they give you a comfortable life. We have bosses who value lives. So not all bosses are bad, but they are not the same. So that is why I've decided, like, let me share the different types of bosses that are there. So we have this caring, this they act like parents. They love you, they treat you well. Those bosses do exist, but is a small percentage, maybe 3%, who can give you everything and then you feel comfortable. Number 5, we have careless bosses. These are careless sponsors. They don't care. They don't care who you are. You need to work. They only want to hear you working. You don't need to complain. Are you sick? Did you come to my house to get sick? When you came from your country, you were the medical or the medical tests proved that you were good enough to work. Why do you complain you are sick? You have to work even if you are sick. You have to work even if you are hungry. We have such bosses. They don't care if your uniform is torn. They don't care. What they want to see is work done. So hata akiona uniform yako imeraruka jali, even if you complain like you have not eaten for 2 days, 3 days, they don't care. They are just careless sponsors. So sometimes it's good to understand these types of bosses so that you know how to handle them. Like, let me share the type of bosses so that for those who want to travel or who have traveled, you see where does your boss lie? Is it a business oriented person? Is it a money oriented person? Is it a food oriented person? Is it a caring boss, a careless boss? So that is how you should understand that bosses are not the same. They are of different types. I think if there's anyone that I have not mentioned, just share in the comment section, and then I'll do part 2 of this maybe in the next show. Thank you for watching. If you feel like this video is okay, you can just give it a thumbs up. You can just share it. Let's try to make to create awareness and make this one a better place for everyone. Thank you so much. See you in the next show.